now to Chapter 2, the Yoga of Knowledge of the Imperishable. So it's at this point when Krishna starts to describe to Arjuna the truth of his eternal nature, which is that all these things which he has experienced, that he considers his teachers, which rise, which have come into experience, which have been born, can also die. Anything that's born will die. That's the facts of life. The body is born, the body dies. But there's something which is eternal, which animates this body. That thing is always there, no matter what is happening. Think about it. In your life, when you have been angry, or you've been happy, or you've been upset, or you've been content, or you have thought everything's just working out perfectly, there's something there which is experiencing that, correct? So whether you're angry, you're still experiencing it. Something is experiencing this anger. When you are happy, something is experiencing this happiness. It's the happiness that rises and the happiness that falls, and the anger that rises and the anger that falls. But what is the thing which is eternal, which always experiences those changes within consciousness? And that is what Krishna is trying to impart to Arjuna, the knowledge of what he is. Because right now, anytime something happens, the soul identifies with it. So if someone gets a lot of money, they think, wow, life is going good, so I'm happy now. All right. If the soul involved in nature loses money or loses a job, it thinks, well, I'm unhappy now. All right. But still, there's always going to be this up and this down within life, within nature. The meditation process is turning you within so that you can learn to experience this witnessing presence like we did when we got started. And in the chakras, there are the prana frequencies. So if you stop in meditation and you listen, you'll be able to hear subtle sound frequencies within your ears. We've talked about this before. These subtle sound frequencies represent the pranas within the body. And these subtle sound frequencies are beyond the mind. It is the mind that says, you are deluded. Remember, this is the mind saying this. It's the mind that says, you are deluded to think that if you gave up your attachment to your story, you are deluded to think that that will result in good fortune. Because it is I, the mind, which gives you this sense of individuality. And it's that sense of individuality which causes the suffering. Because who is suffering? When something goes wrong, who is suffering? Well, you are, right? I mean, the I that you think you are is suffering. Okay? If you're not identified with this I, well then who's left to suffer? No one. Okay. In the Bhagavad Gita, in Lahiri Mahasaya's commentary, over and over he mentions that the problem really is thinking about things, labeling things, saying, this is good, this is bad. I asked Roy last week, I sent him an email, because I had realized that I could choose to experience joy and happiness no matter what was happening. It was my choice. If something bad happened, I could say, well, this is why I'm feeling bad, and so I would identify with it, and sure, there's my excuse. Okay. If something good happened, I could say, this is why I'm feeling good, so there's my excuse. However, I found that when things happened that weren't so pleasant, if I just decided that it's not going to bother me, I mean, I'm still all right, then I would still experience joy. So what was the difference there? It was letting go of that attachment to that thing I thought was causing me suffering. So I sent a letter to Roy, an email, and I said, Roy, I've had this experience, I've been experimenting with it, that I can really experience joy at any time, and it doesn't really make a difference what I'm attaching, the excuse to feel that joy. And so I said, am I, because this is a common thing, am I missing out on any lessons in life by not, going through these negative dark nights of the soul or whatever it might be, by not going through this suffering? And I kind of knew what his answer would be, because I don't really think that's true. But he reconfirmed it. He said, yes, joy is an inside experience. So I posted that on a blog, and someone wrote back and said, I've been having these conversations with a friend of mine that I myself have been having that same experience. But they keep saying to me over and over again, well, you're missing out on all the lessons you're here to learn. You're actually acting kind of crazy and deluded because you need to be human and you need to react to these experiences. And that's just not true. And you see, that takes us back to Arjuna's experience in the first chapter, when he thought that same thing. How can I slay my kinsmen who've taught me all these lessons, all these negative things that I've experienced? How can I slay them? Only misfortune would occur. And he throws down his bow and just gives up. But then in the second chapter, what Arjuna says is, or not Arjuna, Krishna says is, stand up. You need to stand up and you need to overcome this weakness which is not befitting of you, because it is a weakness. People can say, sure, you're not being human, maybe you're being a little crazy, but what they're not really saying you're not being human, because human is just simply what you are. What they're saying is you're not participating in all the suffering that most everyone else participates in. So you're not being more normal. That's really what they're saying. But in the Bhagavad Gita later on, Krishna says to Arjuna, 1 out of every 1,000 people will understand the importance of yoga practice. Okay, 1 of every 1,000 people will understand the importance of yoga practice. And then what he goes on to say is 1 out of every of those 1,000 will actually get it. Now, what does that mean? That means that within our collective consciousness, 1 out of every 1,000 people will understand that yoga practice is about evolving, about waking up to your true spiritual nature, and that it's good for you. Of those 1,000, 1 of those will understand that really to practice this means to let go of the attachment to the things that you think are so important. So when people are practicing yoga, oftentimes they're practicing yoga to escape from suffering, to escape from pain, to escape from that thing which they want to fight or get away from. And if you've ever heard the quote, the only way out is through, if you are practicing yoga, meditation, reading the Bhagavad Gita, reading the Yoga Sutras, or meeting with your guru, or whatever it might have been, if you are doing that to escape from life, you're not really practicing yoga, okay? Because life is yoga practice. It's learning to exist here and now, free of attachments and free of aversions. So the real yogi, the one who, in my estimation, gets it, is one who can be in any situation, can experience the situation, but yet still know what they are inside. And that knowing starts as a mental, intellectual knowing. Okay, I'm not my body, I'm not my thoughts, I'm not my emotions, I'm not my story, I'm not all these things. It starts out there. But then it slowly starts to move into an actual experience. When I was younger, anything would sort of bother my mind. Anything. I mean, just littlest things could irritate me. And as I practiced meditation, I started to realize that these irritations were just the power I was giving to the irritations. And so the things that would irritate most other people usually don't irritate me so much now. And that's what happens when you practice meditation. You learn to distance yourself from these identifications with things which you are not. When a yogi is meditating, hopefully they're letting go of thinking about life. They're letting go of thinking about the world, because meditation isn't about figuring out the world. Meditation is about learning to exist as this eternal witnessing presence, and to exist as that no matter what, so that you are peaceful and still. So if you can simply sit and be, you are practicing yoga. No matter what is happening, if you can simply sit and just be there, you are practicing yoga. There's a good quote in here. Let's see if I can find it. All right. Sutra 14 of the 2nd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Material sensations of cold, heat, pleasure or pain, unpleasantness, are transient and impermanent. Endure them while you seek knowledge. When you're waking up, you have put things into play in the past. They're little seeds that have been planted in consciousness. So anything that you experience is coming from a seed that you have planted in consciousness, whether it be a thought, an emotion, or a choice. The things you experience are because you put them there, and then you water them, and then they grow. Once you are able to experience this peaceful state inside, then what's left is to simply observe and let these seeds either sprout and then wither and die, so you let them exhaust the force of their karma, or you intentionally pluck them out and change the way you're feeling and the way you're thinking. So if you habitually think negative thoughts, or you habitually think and feel in a negative state, that's only because you've planted those seeds in the past. Nothing good, nothing bad, that's just what you've done. If you put weeds in the ground, weeds are going to come up. But you want to take them out and you want to plant positive seeds. So in the face of things which could bother you and cause you to experience misfortune or upset or grief, you observe it. That's what's happening now. You can't really do much about that at the present moment because it's occurring right now. But you can choose in this moment to plant new seeds. So to smile inside, to feel peaceful. And when you feel that, then essentially you are withdrawing the nutrients that would water these seeds.